Oh, what's up, demons and demonettes? It is I, a Troxy Demon Co. And today we're talking about the latest banner in Dragon Travel. That's right, Spimo. But before we get into it, as always, feel free to toss a like and subscribe down below. Alright, so as you can see, I already went ahead and took her to Divinity 6. She's one of those units that I like at Divinity 6. I think her Divinity 6 skill really just enhances her for the team and kind of the comps that you want to run with her. So let's take a look at her star up abilities first and her talent, right? So while deployed, when allied summon deals damage with basic attacks, they additionally deal 69% of their attack as adaptive damage. For every 10% attack speed bonus Spimo has, this effect is increased by an additional 30%. Okay, adaptive damage just deals physical or magical damage based on the caster's type. Okay. When the tentacle attacks, additionally restore an equal amount of HP to one allied luminary in wild state, right? So that's going to help out any of your mixed faction heroes like a Loki, again, because Loki's rebirth wild, and then Jing, who's rebirth wild. Increase HP by 10% and attack by 4%. Again, we want more attack speed on her so she can hit this quicker. Otherworldly touch now summons 2 tentacles. Hey, more tentacles, more fun, right? And then the last one at Diamond Soul Shatter will now copy. So, right, the copied summons will have the same stats. The original of the 4 allied summons that the highest attack on the battlefield, right? So more summons, mo better, right? Okay. So let's take a look at her overdrive. This is the Soul Shatter Coffin. Deals magic damage equal to 96% of the target's current HP to enemy units with the large circular area and applies attack down. Always nice. Damage is capped at 192% of caster's max HP. For every 10% attack bonus Spimo has, the skill's damage is increased by 20%. This proceeds to copy the allied summon that has the highest attack on the battlefield. Great. Okay. Skill, ultimate skill summons 1 tentacle to continuously perform basic attacks on enemy units. Up to 4 can exist. Each basic attack deals magic damage equal to 50% of tentacle's attack, and each time a tentacle performs a basic attack, Spimo additionally restores HP to the ally unit with the lowest HP. Alright, so that's kind of where she's getting her healing from, and then it just does a lot of other stuff, just inherited stats. Whenever an ally is defeated, gains 1 stack of Death Rattle. When possessing Death Rattle, each tentacle attack reduces Death Rattle by 1 stack and grants Death Rattle to the healing target. Okay, it just moves the Death Rattle around. Fine. Let's take a look at her secret skill. For each allied summon that dies, permanently increases own max HP by 2.6% and attack speed by 5.2%, right? So you can see the more summons that are out there, the quicker she can get to her kind of like speed up, so the rest of the summons living do more damage. And then lastly, a Frenzied Knight skill. When allies within a large circle area around self and allied summons on the field crit up, additionally applies excitement to all allied luminaries in the wild state, right? And this is just an additional buff to increase attack, right? So it boosts attack, more stats to go out. Always great. All right, so let's take a look at her divinities, and then we'll kind of talk about why I like her Divinity 6. So this is just HP. This is a choice between getting magic defense here for when gaining a stack of Death Rattle, or haste when going into an ally goes into the wild state. We're not really running on our wild heavy team, so I go for the magic defense boost, which is always nice. Here I just go for the straight HP bonus. Here on 4 we have grants 12% attack for 4 stacks. Again, this is when an ally gets Death Rattle, so she's going to be getting a lot of this. This is good. Here we just boost HP. We could do defense. And then lastly, the Divinity 6 skill. 25% of the damage from Soul Shatter Coffin is converted into healing, affecting all allies, right? Because typically what we're going to do is we're not really going to run her with any other priest, so she's going to be the only priest on our team. So it's going to help out our sustain to have the Divinity 6 ability. Now, let's talk about who she works with. Loki. That's pretty much it. There you go. She works with Loki, right? So we're only going to really run her with Loki. So if you're going Loki heavy, you want a really solid Loki, you're building around Loki, you need a Spimo because she's a nice companion piece to Loki. On her own, she's okay. She's not great. She really needs a Loki to be there, all right? So we could take a look at her subclass. We're going to go with Executor because we always want at least one Executor on our team. She is the only priest on my Rebirth team that I'm going to run, all right? And then gear-wise, she does not have the best gear. So I'm not even going to worry about that. You could always check the optimal gear over on DT Wiki. They do a good job with priests and tanks. DPS, But, yeah, so her gear is kind of all over the place, so we're not too crazy worried about that just yet. Alright, so let's go in and we'll take a look at her boss fight. I do run her on her boss fight, so if we go here, won't it matter? You can see we had a good run here, and then we'll I'll just hit challenge, and we kind of see what the damage looks like. So this is the team that I am running. I'm still running Apollo because Apollo is still going to do a ton of damage. The difference here is that Spimo is going to enhance Loki's damage. Now, I did try running her with other summoning units, such as like a Hades or a Faust, but my overall damage was less. As always, there's going to be some RNG in here, so I don't know if we'll hit a 396 or we'll hit better. But let's see how it goes. Right? So you will see. Alright, so there's her tentacles, but in her skin, they're kind of more like these pylons. Right, so you could... all of Loki's summons get enhanced. They go away. She gets more stacks. Right? And you could see we did not do as much damage as previous, but you could see... Now, whereas the other week when we didn't have Spimo, we're seeing a significant increase in the overall damage here by Loki. The other thing I could do is we could change this up. So I could maybe put Vivian here and buff Loki instead, right? More attack power on Loki. Bigger summon, we'll see how it goes. But I think it's going to be too much of a DPS minus here to Apollo. Again, this is one of those things I'm not too worried about. We can run it over and over and over. As many times as we want for RNG, test out comps, whatever. It's just that I have Apollo. I'm going to run Apollo. Yeah, see, it does worse because we need to buff Apollo. So even buffing Loki there just makes us worse overall. Our Loki does more damage, but our Apollo does significantly less, right? So Apollo's going to be your big damage dealer. She's a nice companion piece on here. You don't necessarily need her for this. I would not pull her for this. As for, like, PvP comp-wise, we'll go in here. I'll just go find someone on my friends list. We can go in here. We can just hit friendly duel, right? So we can do this. So this is the team that I'm running for my otherworldly team. This is my current comp. As you can see, we have Spimo in here as a companion piece to Loki. I dropped out my Caligula in here, and then she'll give us some nice sustain. And then with the shields from Azure Dragon, we don't really need too much heals for the most part. And then we just have Jing here as extra damage and death rattle stacks, right? So again, wild, death rattle, wild, death rattle. So she's going to help out Jing a little bit, but mainly she's here to buff Loki, right? So I mean, this is going to be pretty one-sided, just due to the power gap, but you can see what happens. Right, so you can see there, unfortunately, we don't get damage logs for PvP, but you can see there, no. Okay, so you can see she's good there. As for my towers, I did see an increase in my towers by running her. I was able to push a lot further. I just changed up the team because the front line has problems with Anubis. So you can see I dropped Azure Dragon for the extra tank to run here. Then I switched out Jing for Apollo because my Apollo is significantly more powerful than my Jing. And then that just allowed me to push my towers further. You could obviously you could just run the same rebirth team I did for PvP. Here, I didn't really change up my worm spells because of her. There was not really much of a point. So, yeah, didn't really change anything here in Coliseum. Nothing here in Champion Expedition. I flexed her into my Wormbound Ruins here, anywhere where I ran Loki. So, for otherworldly or wild here, we substituted Spimo in. We didn't have the greatest team here anyway, so having Spimo just enhances that. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of it, right? There's not really it's just her boss, the event. Now, how would I rank her? So I wouldn't say she's a must-have. I would rank her as a nice to have. Certainly if you are going to build around Loki, and Loki is one of the top 3 units in the game, and Summoner is very, very strong, then yeah, if you're going to build around Loki, she is a must-have. If you're not planning to pull Loki because, say, you're holding off for Artemis, okay, well, then you get your Artemis, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to slowly build up my Loki. You may want to pull her to, like, purple 3, just to have her for when you do build up your Loki, because it's a little bit easier to pull her on the banner. But by all means, you can run a Loki without her. You could even run a wild comp with like Talos, Jing, Loki, and just ignore Spimo completely. So she's in no means necessarily a absolute must-have. But I built a really solid rebirth team. I'm building around Loki. So for me, I feel like she is a must-have. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!